Welcome back to Winning Law. I'm attorney David Nguyen with offices in Houston, Texas. So today we're going to discuss marriage-based green card applications. So if you are a foreign national and you're considering marrying a U.S. citizen or green card holder, this immigration video is for you because it will talk about tools and tricks that USCIS officers have when making a determination on whether or not your marriage was entered into in good faith or whether or not you entered the marriage just to receive immigration benefits. Almost on a daily basis, our office receives calls from individuals all across the United States expressing their frustration over their marriage-based interview. Now, many times when people file an immigration case themselves and they're not experienced with immigration laws, they're probably walking into the immigration interview feeling like this. But when they actually get into the interview and they're being interviewed by the immigration officers, this is probably how they're feeling. And after the interview is over, this is probably how they're feeling. So now let's talk about the top tips and tricks that immigration officers have to determine whether or not a marriage was entered in good faith. Now, the first tool that USCIS officers have to use in determining whether or not a marriage is entered in good faith is credit monitoring services. So if you are a foreign national and you are married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, they'll monitor both your application and your spouse's credit applications. So if you're applying for a home loan, a new apartment, a new credit card, or a new bank account, and they have to do a credit check on you, the government's going to have this information. So they're going to be able to see which address you listed on your credit application and also who you listed as your dependents or your spouses. So if you do not list your spouse on every credit application, or if your spouse has issues obtaining credit, you will have issues at the marriage interview because the credit history is monitored. Another tool that USCIS officers can use in determining whether a marriage is entered in good faith is flight history and flight records. So not only can immigration officers know what after you travel, they also know when you book a ticket. So if you buy a ticket and it's only in your name and not your spouse's name, immigration will have issues with this. So if you are in a profession where you travel frequently without your spouse, this may become an issue because immigration is going to wonder why you traveled all these times without your spouse. Also, flight records are not always accurate. For example, we had a case where the person booked a ticket and then canceled it. However, immigration still questioned why they traveled. So we had to explain that the person didn't even travel. They just purchased the ticket and then canceled it. So when you learn about this, you have to understand that if you like to travel abroad without your spouse, maybe your spouse doesn't like international traveling, or maybe they're busy working and you travel alone, immigration will use this information to your detriment. So the next tool that USCIS immigration officers can use is having access to your lease records. So if you are a foreign national and you're married to a U.S. citizen or green card holder, immigration officers will want to see that you have resided and lived with your partner during the entire duration of your marriage. And this becomes an issue in many ways. The first issue that we see is that sometimes it's very difficult to add the other partner into someone's lease agreement. So let's say, for example, you're married to someone, but that person has a poor credit history, a bad credit history, or they have histories of broken leases. The apartment complex that you live in may not want to add the other person to your lease. And this will become an issue with immigration later down the road. Another issue that we see is for couples that are living with someone else. So let's say, for example, you're living with roommates or you're living under your parents' roof, but you're married. This may become an issue later on because you're not going to have a joint lease agreement with your partner. Another scenario in which we see this happening is when one person already owns a residence. So if you are married to someone and they already own their home, Obviously, you're not going to be able to have a joint lease with them, and they're not going to be able to change their documents right away for immigration purposes. So you will have issues when you enter the marriage interview because there's no history that both of you are living together. So just today, these are 3 tips and tools that immigration officers have when making a determination on whether or not your marriage is entered in good faith. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you want to stay tuned for next week when we discuss 3 more tools and tricks that immigration officers have when making this determination.
Say what?
Say what?
Say what?
Say what?
Say
what?
Again, thank you for watching Winning Law. I'm attorney David Nguyen, and we hope that we have made immigration easier to understand.
At David Nguyen's Law Office, we are here to help you. We bring families together through immigration. And on the other hand, we help you find solutions. All your legal needs in the hands of people who care, who are there for you. We'll take care of your loved ones at the law office of David Nguyen.